Hello, everyone. Today we are doing lesson 29. God is in everything I see. And chapter 3, the innocent perception, we are reading the last section, which is section 7, creating versus the self-image. And we will be reading chapter 4's the illusion of the ego introduction. So, hello, Friday. I just felt compelled to wear it today. So, Friday's here. All right, let's get to our reading. 7, creating versus the self-image. Every system of thought must have a starting point. It begins with either a making or a creating, a difference we have already discussed. The resemblance lies in their power as foundations. Their difference lies in what rests upon them. Both are cornerstones for systems of belief by which one lives. It is a mistake to believe that a thought system based on lies is weak. Nothing made by a child of God is without power. It is essential to realize this because otherwise you will be unable to escape from the prison you have made. So what it's talking about here, folks, is recognizing not just that your thoughts and beliefs have power, but they're not going to be easy to let go. These are things you have been taught from the day you were born. To believe in, place your faith into, your trust into. These are the things that you've been taught to believe define you as a human being. They are not going to be easy to set aside. The other part it is wanting to bring to your attention is that your thoughts have extreme power. They are what is manifesting the diseases within your body because it's what you believe in. It's what you judge as being true. This is the stuff that our nightmares are made out of. This is why it's not easy to let them go. We've put a belief into it that is completely wrapped around who we believe and think we are, and who we believe and think our brothers are.
You cannot resolve the authority problem by depreciating the power of your mind. To do so is to deceive yourself, and this will hurt you because you really understand the strength of the mind.
May I interject real quick on that? So, the authority problem, after doing the video and everything for yesterday's lesson, as I was sitting here thinking about that, Holy Spirit started speaking to me. And he was saying that there's another thing that it's referring to in regards to the authority problem we have. That we are not willing to take authorship of what it is we've been doing to ourselves. We always want to point fingers and place blame elsewhere. Whether it's cigarettes, whether it's a drug, alcohol, whether it's the person that's teasing us at school, all of it. We are unwilling to accept the authorship of what it is we are doing to ourselves. We want to hand responsibility over to somebody else. We don't even want to make our own decisions for fear of making a mistake, for doing something wrong. Whether it be what to eat in the morning or where to go during the day, all these things, when you are giving up responsibility of making your own choices and decisions because you're living in fear, you are unwilling to accept responsibility for yourself. And that has been part of the problem too, is that we are taught to point fingers and place blame and never accept responsibility for what we think, feel, and experience. So in talking authorship, we are the authors of the pain and suffering we are going through. And we aren't accepting that responsibility. We're not accepting that authorship. When we are thinking with our ego minds, we are pointing fingers, placing blame, and not accepting responsibility. When we accept the authorship of what it is we've done to ourselves, that's when healing begins. All right, please continue.
So I'm glad you had that commentary, because while you were talking about that, I was reading this paragraph here and really trying to wrap my mind around the last sentence I read, which was, to do so is to deceive yourself, and this will hurt you because you really understand the strength of the mind. And so what I'm getting from that is, when we believe that we created ourselves, the power of the mind creates an environment in which it really seems like we created ourselves. Mm-hmm. Going back to the phrase, perceiving is believing. Mm-hmm. So, or believing is perceiving, right?
Yeah.
And so, starting over on the first sentence, you cannot resolve the authority problem by depreciating the power of your mind. To do so is to deceive yourself, and this will hurt you because you really understand the strength of the mind. You also realize that you cannot weaken it any more than you can weaken God. The devil is a frightening concept because he seems to be extremely powerful and extremely active. He is perceived as a force in combat with God, battling him for possession of his creations. The devil deceives by lies, and builds kingdoms in which everything is in direct opposition to God. Yet he attracts men rather than repels them, and they are willing to, quote, sell him their souls in return for gifts of no real worth. This makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, and it's talking about the choices we make. We make the choices, we make the decisions to keep chasing after this, keep chasing after that. Whether it be money, fast cars, drugs, and women, or men, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, the whole thing about the devil deceives by lies is that we believe what it is that will make us happy, rather than putting our faith into Holy Spirit to lead us to what leads to true joy and happiness. And so we pursue these false idols, sex, drugs, money, there's a million different things that we pursue. Food. And these are the lies that lead us astray, where we believe that these will lead us to happiness, and they don't.
It's what we are being taught will lead us to happiness.
Exactly.
We are being taught this by our parents, the other adults around us, society,
television,
music, our peers.
Look at all the commercials on TV. Every commercial is basically saying happiness comes from this product.
This product, this item. If you want to stay happy or you get an STD, you just need to take this and you'll be happy again.
Well, how many commercials, it seems like almost all of them, show happy, smiling people?
Yeah, and it's all a farcity.
It's all lies, yeah.
They are acting out a part. That's it. None of it's true. They're not real people that are going through those things themselves. They are play acting a part. That's it. No truth to it. And it's those types of things that we are being told to look at. Look at it, what we're believing, thinking, and doing. It's time to look at all of it. We don't heal. We don't get that inner peace that we keep seeking. It's not out there in the world. It's inside of us. And the only way to get it is to look within at what it is you're believing to be true. Until then, it will constantly be just outside your grasp. Just out of reach. Your fingertips may brush it ever so slightly, but it will still move away. It's one of those, I'm never good enough. Why can't I ever be happy? I've been there, done that many times.
That's the seeking outside ourselves for happiness.
Yeah.
Trying to fill the void of pain inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then seeking outside of us for the answers by thinking, oh, this person's a guru. They'll know what's best for me. It's like I was saying just a few minutes ago, folks. You got to take responsibility for yourself, for your choices, your decisions of what you're thinking and believing in and holding forth as being true, what you've put your faith into. Look at all these things that you believe define you and define the world around you. These are the things that we're being shown to look at. Continuing on. We have discussed the fall or separation before, but its meaning must be clearly understood. The separation is a system of thought real enough in time, though not in eternity. All beliefs are real to the believer. The fruit of only one tree was forbidden in the symbolic garden, but God could not have forbidden it, or it could not have been eaten. If God knows his children, and I assure you that he does, would he have put them in a position where their own destruction was possible? The forbidden tree was named the tree of knowledge, yet God created knowledge and gave it freely to his creations. The symbolism here has been given many interpretations, but you may be sure that any interpretation that sees either God or his creations as capable of destroying their own purpose is in error. Okay, so this is coming right back to something I was talking about in some of the first lessons about really thinking about and considering the concept and idea that as a parent, you would set your child up for failure just to see and get the pleasure from watching them fail. What parent would do that to their own child? Knowingly do that to their child? I don't know of any that would knowingly do something so detrimental and harmful to their child. And it's that symbolism that we had been given about the whole tree of knowledge, that he told us we couldn't have it. He gave everything freely to us. He held nothing back. He would not sit there and put something there and then tell us we couldn't have it. He would not do that. Everything here he puts before us is for us to have, to use. And we keep judging that this is bad, that is good, this is right, this is wrong. this is the mistake that we keep making, the error we keep making and keep believing, is that our Father wants to hurt us. Yesterday I had somebody coming at me talking about how much of a fool I am for believing in and following God. That my God is an angry, vengeful, hateful God. And I'm going, no, my God is not like that. As a child, I was being brought up to believe that God was angry, vengeful, and hateful. And I turned away from that God. And in so doing, I then went and found different paths to try and find a better way to get to heaven, peace, love. And what I kept finding is that every religion I was looking at were saying the same things with their own little twists. And in the end, theirs was the right one and all the others were wrong. And I have come to understand that those are all man-made, created beliefs and religions based off of shame, guilt, and fear. All of them judgmental in the extreme about anyone and anything that does not believe as they do. And just as that person was coming at me yesterday, telling me what a fool I am for believing in a deity that doesn't exist, and I was like, I've been shown and given proof time and time again that my faith is well placed in the healing of my diseases and my mental and emotional anguish from all the things I've dealt with in my life. And those kinds of things is recognizing that my Father would never have done any of those things to me. It's not possible. I just kept believing it based off of the things I was being told by everyone else around me. That was my mistake. Please continue.
Eating of the fruit of the tree of knowledge is a symbolic expression for usurping the ability for self-creating. This is the only sense in which God and his creations are not co-creators. The belief that they are is implicit in the self-concept, or the tendency of the self to make an image of itself. Images are perceived, not known. Knowledge can deceive, cannot deceive, but perception can. You can perceive yourself as the self-creating, but you cannot do more than believe it. You cannot make it true. And as I said before, when you finally perceive correctly, you can only be glad that you cannot. Until then, however, the belief that you can is the foundation stone in your thought system, and all your defenses are used to attack ideas that might bring it to light. You still believe you are an image of your own making. Your mind is split with the Holy Spirit on this point, and there is no resolution while you believe the one thing that is literally inconceivable. That is why you cannot create and are filled with fear about what you make.
So, what's coming to mind for me from that particular paragraph is an image of us believing that we are who we make ourselves.
That we made ourselves.
Well, yeah, we believe in a lot of ways that we made ourselves. We make or break ourselves is what we are told growing up, and that we can be whoever and whatever we want to be And we can create ourselves in that way. It's like the actor going in and playing the part in a movie or a play. They are creating that being in those moments.
Creating that character.
That character.
Right.
They are putting all the mental and emotional energy into creating that character and becoming that person in that instant, thinking that they are creating themselves by doing so. And in the same way, we continue to fake it. Ways we are faking it, folks, are putting on a front in front of our friends that we have money when we don't.
That we're confident when we're not.
Yeah, that we're confident and we have all the answers because we are judging and opinionated when we aren't. When we're truly insecure inside.
That we're happy and joyful when we're not, when we're actually in pain and
in misery.
In misery.
Folks that tend to go into a bliss ninny state is what I call it, where they aren't willing to look at anything bad or negative. Oh, I don't want to hear anything negative. Oh, no. I just want to hear happy thoughts, happy things. Just don't talk to me about your negative, icky stuff, please. Yeah. It's, if you don't want to hear where I'm at, then you're not my friend. Plain and simple. When I come to you trying to share with you, you say you're my friend, and I try to share with you where I am at on my journey. If I'm going through something painful, and you tell me you don't want to hear it, that is not a friend. You know, there's other ways that we sit there faking it. When I was a teenager, I used to wear makeup and all kinds of stuff to hide who I was behind a mask. And there's a lot of women that'll tell you, oh, I got to go put my face on before I go anywhere. I got to go do this. I got to put my mask on. And it's because they are afraid for the world to see who they truly are. They put on this fake persona. Think about it. Watch the people around you when they are getting ready. It's like as each piece of clothing and jewelry and everything else goes on, it's like they are putting on one piece of a persona after another after another. You can truly see it in your children these days, that they are constantly trying to mimic their friends.
Wear the clothes that their friends are wearing.
Yeah, wear the clothes that their friends are wearing, or the artists, the musical artists that are out there, they mimic them. The movie stars, they mimic them. The reality TV shows, they try to mimic them. Look at these things our children are watching, that you are having your children watch without any second thoughts. And then look at the way they mimic. Because they're being told when they watch that stuff that that's cool, that's the thing to do, and that's a good thing, because then society will approve of you. And that's not true. Okay, let's continue on. Let's see. Yeah. The mind can make the belief in separation very real and very fearful, and this belief is the devil. It is powerful, active, destructive, and clearly in opposition to God, because it literally denies his fatherhood. Look at your life and see what the devil has made, but realize that this making will surely dissolve in the light of truth, because its foundation is a lie. Your creation by God is the only foundation that cannot be shaken, because the light is in it. Your starting point is truth, and you must return to your beginning. Much has been seen since then, but nothing has really happened. Yourself is still in peace, even though your mind is in conflict. You have not yet gone back far enough, and that is why you become so fearful. As you approach the beginning, you feel the fear of the destruction of your thought system upon you, as if it were the fear of death. There is no death, but there is a belief in death. So, folks, when he's talking about going back to the beginning, it's as I have been speaking of continuously about going back to your childhood, basically from the day you were born, and look at everything you've been taught to believe based off of the experiences you were having with the interactions with those around you, the physical acts that were happening to you and around you, the mental and emotional energies that you were tapping into from those people as a child. Because remember, folks, everybody is empathic. We all know when that one person is saying, "Oh, hey, can I get a couple bucks from you? Like I don't have any money right now." And you're going, "Well, wait a minute, didn't you just get paid yesterday?" And they're like, no, no," and they give you some kind of line. And they make you feel guilty for not wanting to give it to them. Like, "Well, dude, it's not like I ever asked you for any." It's like, wait a minute, why are you going to use guilt? It's like they have money, but they don't want to spend their money. They want to spend yours. And you felt that, but yet you were shamed and guilted into giving them the money anyway. Those kinds of manipulations. And as we go back and look at these things we experienced as children, as infants even, we are shown the truth of what we were doing in those moments, which was believing we had done something wrong, and that whatever they were saying and doing, they were right and we were wrong, and we must deserve it. It's why we have those feelings of being less than and unworthy. And we keep believing everything that we've been told to believe in, even that there's death. As it's saying right here, there is no death. We've only been taught to believe it. Let's continue on.
The branch that bears no fruit will be cut off and will wither away. Be glad. The light will shine from the true foundation of life, and your own thought system will stand corrected. It cannot stand otherwise. You who fear salvation are choosing death. Life and death, light and darkness, knowledge and perception are irreconcilable. To believe that they can be reconciled is to believe that God and His Son cannot. Only the oneness of knowledge is free of conflict. Your kingdom is not of this world because it was given you from beyond this world. Only in this world is the idea of an authority problem meaningful. The world is not left by death, but by truth. And truth can be known by all those for whom the kingdom was created and for whom it waits.
Exactly. When we can let go of all of these things that we've been taught to believe in, what I get from this is that in that moment is when we can choose whether to stay here, continuing in the illusion, or choose to drop the veil completely. And that is something that resonates with me very deeply. That as I learn to let go of all these things I've been taught to believe in as being true, that the veil will fall away for me to make that choice and decision, if that's what I choose to do, to move on. it'll be my choice and decision. Each time I've had an out-of-body experience where I have died and they brought me back, I was always being told I had a choice to either stay here and continue or to move on. And each choice, I had to sit there and think about which I wanted to do. Did I want to continue suffering where I was, or move on to the next life and try again? And each time I chose to continue. That was Chapter 3, The Innocent Perception, with Section 7, Creating versus the Self-Image. We're going to be moving on here to Chapter 4, The Illusions of the Ego, and its introduction here in just a few moments. We will be right back with you. Alrighty. Welcome back, folks. We are doing Chapter 4, The Illusions of the Ego, and we are reading the introduction. The Bible says that you should go with a brother twice as far as he asks. It certainly does not suggest that you set him back on his journey. Devotion to a brother cannot set you back either. It can lead only to mutual progress. The result of genuine devotion is inspiration, a word which properly understood is the opposite of fatigue. To be fatigued is to be dispirited, but to be inspired is to be in the spirit. To be egocentric is to be dispirited, but to be self-centered in the right sense is to be inspired or in spirit. The truly inspired are enlightened and cannot abide in darkness. So what that's saying there, folks, is to recognize that when you stay in your truth, in your light, and you don't waver, and you continue to speak of love and peace, even when your brother is lashing out at you with recriminations and telling you you're doing it wrong, and not attacking back and staying in your truth and light, they might think you're being selfish and self-centered, but you're not. You are standing true to yourself and to what you are being shown. And that is what they are talking about here. Stay in your truth and light. Do not waver. When he shows you the truth and you feel it deep in your heart to be the absolute truth, and I'm not talking thinking about it up here, oh yeah, that sounds right, that sounds like it's, no. It's not up here, honey. It's down here. You feel it to the very essence of your being that it's the absolute truth. To your bones. That everything you are made of is encompassing that essence of truth that you are being shown. That light, that truth. Please continue, Alex.
You can speak from the spirit or from the ego as you choose. If you speak from spirit, you have chosen to, quote, be still and know that I am God. These words are inspired because they reflect knowledge. If you speak from the ego, you are disclaiming knowledge instead of affirming it, and are thus dispiriting yourself. Do not embark on useless journeys, because they are indeed in vain. The ego may desire them, but spirit cannot embark on them because it is forever unwilling to depart from its foundation.
I'm getting a mental picture of us spinning our wheels. I need to do this and I need to do that to make this happen. If I don't do this thing over here, this is never going to happen for me. Thinking that you have to go and do this, do that, buy this, buy that in order to make yourself
Happy.
to get further in life. And right here it's telling us you're doing it in vain. Stop doing it. It's the same as that chasing after and seeking out the truth outside of you in a book, through what someone else is saying is the absolute truth, and without looking at it and looking and researching it yourself. In everything I keep saying, you are the only one that can do this. You have to go within and do the work yourself. Look at these things coming up. And just as it's saying in here, you have to be willing to look at all these things and recognize that every time you start spinning your wheels, you're embarking on a useless journey because you won't go anywhere with it. It will not bring you that peace and happiness. And then for those of us that have reached that point of recognizing what our truth is and not being willing to move away from it or to waver from it, it's because we have come to the understanding that this is our foundation. This is why I absolutely refuse to listen to a damn thing anyone else has to say out there as being the truth. I hear what they say and I take it into Holy Spirit and I ask Him, what is it I'm perceiving in what they're saying? And every time He shows me the truth. Because every time I hear these folks outside of me, I'm hearing the truth of their beliefs that they're putting onto what they're saying. And the twistedness that they're putting to it. Based off of their egoic beliefs. Their judgments and opinions. Their emotional baggage they've attached to each and every word they use. And being empathic, there's not a damn way for me to shut that off. It's there in my face every time. And I ask because I don't want to sit there and make an assumption or just out and out judge them as doing something incorrectly or saying something incorrectly. I always ask Him for the truth of what I'm perceiving. I don't want to second guess myself ever again. And that is all I can do. And it takes a split second in my mind to have that dialogue happening as whatever's going on in front of me is happening. I am constantly talking to and asking for clarification of what I see, what I hear, what I am experiencing. I do not waver in that. Let's continue. The journey to the cross should be the last useless journey. Do not dwell upon it, but dismiss it as accomplished. If you can accept it as your own last useless journey, you are also free to join my resurrection. Until you do so, your life is indeed wasted. It merely reenacts the separation, the loss of power, the futile attempts of the ego at reparation, and finally the crucifixion of the body or death. Such repetitions are endless until they are voluntarily given up. Do not make the pathetic error of clinging to the old rugged cross. The only message of the crucifixion is that you can overcome the cross. Until then, you are free to crucify yourself as often as you choose. This is not the gospel I intended to offer you. We have another journey to undertake, and if you will read these lessons carefully, they will help prepare you to undertake it. And what this is talking about, folks, is learning to look at everything that we've been taught to believe. That cross that we're bearing, that cross that we are bearing is the cross of judgment. We are carrying that burden solely on ourselves. When we believe in the judgments that others are giving to us, we enact them on ourselves, and we make that our cross to bear until we learn what it is we do and we drop it. Slide it right off our shoulder and let it hit the floor and keep walking, leaving it lay there where it rests. That was chapter 4, The Illusions of the Ego. Now we're moving on to lesson 29. Alex, if you'll start.
Lesson 29. God is in everything I see. The idea for today explains why you can see all purpose in everything. It explains why nothing is separate, by itself, or in itself. And it explains why nothing you see means anything. In fact, it explains every idea we have used thus far, and all subsequent ones as well. Today's idea is the whole basis for vision.
You will probably find this idea very difficult to grasp at this point. You may find it silly, irreverent, senseless, funny, and even objectionable. Certainly God is not in a table, for example, as you see it. Yet we emphasized yesterday that a table shares the purpose of the universe. And what shares the purpose of the universe shares the purpose of its creator. This comes into recognizing that we are connected with everything around us and everyone. We are connected on multiple levels. And it comes back to the power of our minds, folks. The understanding I'm being given is that as we learn to clear out these beliefs and these judgments we've been taught to believe in, and we learn to truly free ourselves in recognizing who we are and our true internal power that we have been given by our Father, our Creator, we will then be able to instantly create as He created in regards to anything and everything. As He created the world, so shall we create the world around us. Even tables, bringing it from the ephemeral to the substantial. And these are the things that it has been talked about in the Bible and throughout history, that there has been instances of there being beings that had reached that immortality and were able to manifest and create things instantaneously with their minds. There was an Egyptian king that had been torn apart by his brother after he had reached enlightenment. And his body parts had been strewn all over the place throughout the country. And the guy's wives had went and found his body parts, brought them back together, and breathed back the life essence into the body, in which he came back into his body and became immortal, able to create instantaneously anything he wanted. And those kinds of things, those kinds of stories are things that we hear about here and there through history. I cannot remember what the name of it.
I want to say it's Osiris. I was actually just
Yes,
looking
I
it up.
believe that's right.
Yeah,
Osiris sounds right.
yeah.
Or it might have been Anubis or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was just looking it up, but
But the point here is that these types of things have been told us through our mythologies. And we all have learned that there's always been some truth to the mythologies that we were learning about as children. Whether it's the Greek mythologies, the Egyptian mythologies, all of them. Even the Christian mythology. Jesus was a real person. He went through the things he went through. It's recognizing that and recognizing that in everything we're all connected.
yes, it was Osiris. Um, it's called in Wikipedia. They call it a myth, and the myth is described as Osiris having been killed by his brother Set, who wanted Osiris's throne. Isis joined the fragmented pieces of Osiris, but the only body part missing was the phallus. Isis fashioned a golden phallus and briefly brought Osiris back to life by use of a spell that she learned from her father. So yes, that's Osiris.
Yeah. So it's things of that nature that we get taught growing up that make us go, wow, it's possible to become immortal. And so we have sought that when at the same time where you are being told that you will die. You are going to grow old and you are going to die, and there ain't a damn thing you can do about it. There is something you can do about it if you don't believe in it. If you put your faith and trust that you will always stay young, then why can't that be possible? All right, continuing on.
Try then today to begin to learn how to look on all things with love, appreciation, and open mindedness. You do not see them now. Would you know what is in them? Nothing is as it appears to you. Its holy purpose stands beyond your little range. When vision has shown you the holiness that lights up the world, you will understand today's idea perfectly, and you will not understand how you could ever have found it difficult.
Our 6 2-minute practice periods for today should follow a now familiar pattern. Begin with repeating the idea to yourself and then apply it to randomly chosen subjects about you, naming each one specifically. Try to avoid the tendency toward self-directed selection, which may be particularly tempting in connection with today's idea because of its wholly alien nature. Remember that any order you impose is equally alien to reality.
Your list of subjects should therefore be as free of self selection as possible. For example, a suitable list might include God is in this coat hanger. God is in this magazine. God is in this finger. God is in this lamp. God is in that body. God is in that door. God is in that wastebasket.
Continue.
In addition to the assigned practice periods, repeat the idea for today at least once an hour, looking slowly about you as you say the words unhurriedly to yourself. At least once or twice, you should experience a sense of restfulness as you do this.
That was lesson 29. God is in everything I see. Do the work, folks. I say it every day. Do the work. All it takes is the little bit of willingness to do as it says. You don't have to believe it. You can actively resist it. Still do the work. Thank you for joining us. My name is Sabrina Reyenga.
And I'm Alex Reyenga.
Hugs, love, and light. We love you. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.